turned off and that it wouldn't give feedback on the computer. I don't know if that would work.
I think we've solved it. No, I haven't solved it. We have a different sound system now. We have a different sound system now. It's giving an echo. No, because they have to hear.
Sometimes an echo feedback comes from if your microphone's too close to the speakers, or if too many people have their microphones open.
This one? Yeah, this one's also on.
Okay, just 1 minute. I think I've got it.
But the thing is, if people come on and they leave their microphones open, you can have. I do a lot of online theater, so we've had that. We have one.
Now is there feedback? We're just going to start the program. No. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. This is the regular Sunday Sutta study program at Dhammadharini. Are you still, those in cyberspace, are you getting a big feedback?
It's not too bad.
Okay.
Just some.
Well, we'll have to make do because our sound technician is not quite here at the moment. We invited some people to come to have a gratitude lunch today because I'll be departing from California in about 10 days from now. You shall have a chance to see me one more time next Sunday. This is my second to last Sunday. The sutta that we've chosen to speak about today is called Upanisa Sutta. It's a very famous sutta. There's several versions of this sutta. One that we have now that we're looking at is the most famous one. This is the sutta that gives a transition that sometimes starts with saddha or confidence or faith. Sometimes it starts with sila. And from that starting point is the arising of joy. From joy comes piti or rapture or bliss. From bliss comes tranquility. From tranquility comes samadhi, or immersion, or the deep meditation. From samadhi comes truly knowing and seeing things as they are. From truly seeing things as they are comes nibbida, or disenchantment, or disillusionment. From disillusionment comes dispassion. From dispassion comes freedom. From freedom comes the knowledge of the ending of the ending of the asalas, the full awakening. There is another version of this sutta that says, if you have faith, if you have confidence, you don't need to worry about joy. Joy will come naturally, according to the law of the Dhamma. Joy will come. If you have joy, then you don't have to worry about the bliss of piti, the bliss of meditation. The bliss will come naturally. If you have bliss, you don't have to worry about tranquility. Tranquility will come naturally. If you have tranquility, you don't have to worry about concentration. Concentration will come naturally. If you have concentration, you don't have to worry about seeing things as they truly are. It will come naturally. If you see things as they truly are, you don't have to worry about being disillusioned or disenchanted. It will come naturally. And if you are disenchanted, you don't have to worry about dispassion. It will come naturally. And if you have dispassion, you don't have to worry about freedom. It comes naturally. If you have freedom, that's vimutti. You don't have to worry about the final destruction of the taints. It will come naturally. Just as surely, as certainly as when the rain falls at the top of the mountain, the rain falls everywhere, and it gathers up in the small rivulets and the little puddles, and then it overflows, and that flows down into the streams, and that overflows, it flows into the creeks, and that flows down, it overflows, and it flows down.
Sorry, we cannot hear you.
Ayya, we can't hear you anymore. You're muted.
Sting.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, now we're doing it the old way. We can do the way they do when they have big demonstrations and they don't have a sound system. I'll say ETP so, and then you say ETP so, and then the person over there says ETP so, and then the message gets carried around from the front of a large crowd to the back of a large crowd. Seriously, I'll try to project my voice all the way, but if you don't hear me very well, you'll have to move yourself closer. Say,
Towards the end,
they can move closer if they want to.
because most of them are on chairs.
So what are you saying?
Can I move your table and your chair forward?
Uh,
Right.
okay, pause. I think you said you can hear me, okay? All right, they can hear me. I'll just project myself. Now, we are speaking about this Upanisa Sutta. This is the spiral path that goes upwards. This is the mate to the Paticca which is the called a mundane dependent arising, or the series of causation that leads to the arising and perpetuation of the cycle of dukkha. So from ignorance springs all of the causes and conditions that lead to old age, sickness, and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, the cycle of rebirth, the round of samsara, the perpetuation of our suffering. There is some points along the way where if you manage to break that first link of the chain, the link of ignorance, the link of avidya, if you destroy avidya, then it's possible that the cycle of causation doesn't go all the way down and around and lead to rebirth. There are several different places where if avidya is destroyed, then you don't have a necessary cause for paticca to take place. But the Buddha, in my opinion, the sutta that we're going to read in a couple of minutes, I think he must have been experiencing the bliss and tranquility of enlightenment, and he must have looked back at everything he had gone through for so many lifetimes. And he also must have used his divine eye and looked around and seeing the experience of all the beings in the world who were still trapped in that way. Now, having said this much, I'm going to do my usual procedure. Now, you want me to do two? They're trying to give me two mics. So I'll be like a very important person talking into two mics. It's coming? Sound is coming? Okay. At Sahavati. That doesn't hold this down. Mendicants, I say that the ending of defilements is for one who knows and sees. does not know and see. That's the end of ignorance, is the knowing and seeing. And the ending of the defilements is called, defilements is called asava. It's the defilement of sense desire, the defilement of the desire to be reborn, and the defilement of ignorance. Those are the three last taints, corruptions, repulsive things that we see keeping a person tied down in this round of samsara. But they can come to the end. The kaya. Kaya is, there's one word for ending, which is called attangama. The atta is referring to the west, and attangama is going west. And that's like when the sun sets, you go west. It's when you go into your setting of the sun. It's this very gentle kind of thing, calmly go away, fade away, like the light fades away in the evening. That's not what this is. This is the kaya. The kaya is cut it like a knife. It's cut completely, it cannot come back. One who knows and sees what? Then he gives the five aggregates. This is form, feeling, perception, choices of volitional formations, and consciousness. The Buddha said that attachment to the five aggregates is the brief summary of dukkha. Elsewhere, they say that attachment to these five things is how the delusion about the self is based on clinging to some part or all of the whole combination of those things. He said, such is form, such is the origin of form, such is the ending of form. So for each part of the five aggregates, you see what it is, where it came from, how it ends. And when you see that, that's the end of ignorance. But how does this knowledge come to be? Now here's the Buddha, he's looking back. How did it happen? How was I able to see this? He said, this knowledge of the end of the asavas has a vital condition. What is that? You should say freedom or vimutti. Now, at this point, I'm inviting others in the Sangha. I asked you to think about it, and I'm going to call on whoever has an idea about the meaning of vimutti. What is the significance of vimutti or freedom? If you know an answer or if you have something to say. Are you ready? No. Because I was getting feedback.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't have time for the proper sound check. This seems to work though. I think both they can hear on Zoom and here. So freedom, I guess it's freedom from the defilements. And if you experience that freedom, then you would know it. I think that's it. It's so I don't know, not
Freedom from defilements. What else?
I think of freedom as being disentangled from attachments.
Disentangled from attachment, so we're no longer a puppet trapped in a cage or caught in a web. Okay, Diane has an answer.
Well,
Maybe we could do the call and response. You just say your answer and then I'll repeat it.
if I can. When I had my awakening within me, it was like a freedom from the darkness that was in me. And stepping into a light that was already in me. And so I let the light that was in me go be free,
Ah,
and it filled me.
great. So Diana,
And then continue growth there, because you don't stop growing.
Diana's saying that when she had her awakening, there was an inner light that was like trapped in darkness. And when the darkness cleared, the light was free and was able to shine forth. And then she was able to continue practicing and developing from there. I think of the freedom in terms of equanimity, that when there is either a dislike or a bad feeling, one is kind of trapped in pushing away from that, or when there's liking or attraction or a pleasant feeling, one can be sucked in and trapped in a very tricky or powerful way to be pulled in towards the thing that's likable. But when one is equanimous, then you don't have the burden of needing to resist the pull and the push of like and dislike. You're just open-minded towards whatever arises. You have a freedom in relationship to all those experiences. Those some aspects of freedom. Freedom has a vital condition. And what is that? That condition is called dispassion. The Pali is viraga. So raga is also known as greed. And it's not just, it's more than liking something, it's an inflammation of liking. So in the fire sermon, the Buddha said, the world is on fire. What is it on fire with? It's a flame with the fire of greed, the fire of hatred, the fire of ignorance, I say. And then the fire of greed is ragagina. Ragagina is like a fire that's burning. It's like having a fever. It's an illness, really, that when the body is inflamed like that. And so the viraga is something that is allowing that reaction, that inflammation, to become cool, to become calmed down. Ranti? Oh, there you are. Please.
I was gonna say freedom from suffering for the previous question that you said.
The early question, freedom from dukkha. Yes. I'm just having to take care of my mechanical things for just a second. Okay, so I'm asking if there are any other ideas about viraga. Yeah. You can talk into this one, talk to
Oh, viraga sounds like the Sanskrit viragya. I'm not sure if they're connected. Viragya is the sense of release or renunciation that I think is probably related to stepping into freedom.
Do you have something to add? No, I'm not too happy with you. A viraga is also sometimes described in terms of a type of like a disappearing, fading away. It's described as if you had a bit of a dye of a bright strong color, like some red dye or some yellow dye, and you put a few drops of dye into a pond. At first, that spot where the drops fell would be very bright colored. But then, even if the pond is not in turmoil, even if it's a still pond, by the minor movements of the water, the dye would gradually spread out and become more and more spread out and more difficult to see until it disappears completely, because it's become so spread out that it's disappeared. That's another metaphor for what viraga does. Okay. Dispassion has a vital condition. And this is another wonderful Pali word. It's called nibbida, which Bhante Sujato translates as disillusionment. Elsewhere, we've seen it translated as disenchantment. So if somebody were under a spell of ignorance and greed, and they were in love with some aspect of life, and they would be seeing things in a very biased and unrealistic way through rose-colored glasses. And so the person you fell in love with, you think everything they say is so marvelous, everything they do is so marvelous, the way they walk is so marvelous, the way they talk is so marvelous, the sound of their voice is so marvelous, and you just think every single thing is about them. Well, that's why you like them. And later on, if you find a different person and you hate them, it could be, the twin of the one that you were in love with. And you would think the way they walk is ugly, the way they talk is ugly, the way they dress is ugly, the way they smell is ugly. And just because of bias and reactions, you see things in this diluted way that is leading to compulsive obsessions about how you want to behave towards that person, that kind of person, or towards that object. But then to become disillusioned or disenchanted, then you're not fooled anymore. Sometimes in the older translations, nibbida was translated as revulsion. And for modern people, revulsion seems to be like negative. Like if you feel revolted by something, then you hate it. It is sometimes described in a kind of a strong way, like if you fell into a cesspit and then a kind person rescued you and pulled you out of the cesspit, and then afterwards they say, well, would you like to jump back in again? And you say, no, I don't want that. I've had it. I'm finished. I'm no more. I'm never jumping in that cesspit again. And so that is, in a way, what nibbida is. It's that strong, that powerful. The other metaphor that's given is if there's the butcher is finished, cutting some meat, preparing some meat, and then there's a bone that's got a little bit of meat left on it, and he throws it to the dog, and the dog licks it and chews on it, and he's getting that little bit of nourishment from the meat, and then he keeps chewing and chewing, and there's maybe a little bit of a smell from the bone marrow, and he keeps chewing on it and chewing on it and chewing on it until finally, after a long time, there's no more nourishment left in that bone. And so the same way, like this life in this realm of existence that we're in, if you see that there's no more nourishment anymore. Now, again, I'm sort of looking for the Sangha to volunteer to fill in some other answers to this.
I feel like this revulsion also meaning disgusting. So from the perspective of meditation, because the condition before this revulsion is the knowledge of destruction, right? So when we meditate and when we see the feeling or the motion in the body or the thing outside, we see the arising and passing away. And you see always change, anicca. Like for things that you like, just like the bone, until you feel it's tasteless, right? Then you see the impermanency and you feel why, like, for example, the thing that I love so much, why it always keep changing, and you fed out, you feel disgust with attached to anything. It would not last long. I think in a way that disgusting to that even mind matter. Then that's why we that come to viraga, do dispassion, to chase after anything. In that way, then we free from this attachment, or the hindrances. Then it disappear. Then it bring to the path of nibbana.
There's another sequence that we see not in the sutta, but in the Anapanasati Sutta and in some other places where they talk about this viraga, this fading away, and the patinisaga, which is translated as relinquishing. And I used to wonder, how is it that first you have lost all the defilements or all of the negative tendencies have been put down. So why do you relinquish it after you've put it down? And I think that the answer is, this is very important. If you're developing meditation in samadhi, it is very common that during the meditation, you can get a seclusion from all of the negative states of mind while you are in samadhi or while you're in a special environment like a retreat. But then when you come out of meditation, or if you go out of retreat and you go out into the world where people are rude and all kinds of stressful things happen, then it's possible that these negative habits could come up again. Even though you put them down, they could come up again. But because you've relinquished them, because you have that patinisaga, you've relinquished them. That means they're not going to come up again. You've relinquished them for good. There's another list that's also got something. This is another way of expressing a very similar idea. This is in the Girimananda Sutta, which gives 10 reflections for one who is facing the crisis of fatal terminal illness and facing the end and does not wishes to be liberated. And that reflection is that one should develop the perception of impermanence in all of the formations. Now, the formations is in terms of the mental volitions or the mental fabrications, the mental proliferation. And the way that that's explained is it says, if some thought of hatred comes into the mind, one feels repulsive, disgusted, horrified, and you destroy that thought instantly because you don't want that thought at all anymore. Or if the thought of greed comes up, you feel that disgusted and horrified, repulsive towards that thought of greed. And as the instant that kind of thought comes on the horizon, you put it down instantly because you got this intuitive reaction. And that's because of really understanding what the danger is. And so this is when that becomes second nature, then it can happen that those tendencies can become denourished, weaker and weaker, until eventually that tendency withers away and disappears completely. We have got some brambles in the yard here. They're, I guess, blackberries or something like that, and they're quite persistent. If you try to pull them out by the roots, if the roots break and you leave a little tiny piece of root in the ground, if the ground has got good fertility, so that little root will start to grow again and that bramble will come right back again, even though you pulled it out once. But one of the ways that I've heard is to make them go away completely is to just cut them off. When they come up, you cut them off right at the ground level. So they never have the opportunity of getting the nutriment from the sun. And you just do that like continuously. As soon as they come up, you cut them off exactly at the ground level so they have no chance to grow. And then after a few years, they actually do disappear and come to their cessation. So we could say that the afflictions of the mind are like that kind of bramble. It really has a strong tendency to come to life. But if you've got nibbida, this disenchantment, this disillusionment, you've seen through it. You see the danger. You see how inadequate there's really nothing there for it that's beneficial. So you don't wish for it. And then coming forward a little bit. So when you're so disappointed or disillusioned, you stop giving it. You're not giving any more nourishment to those negative tendencies, those persistent factors. Then the inflammation of raga fades away, becomes nothing. You have that viraga, that dispassion, that imperturbable quality of the mind that's not able to be disturbed, because those kind of reactions have just disappeared completely. And then with that, you've got real freedom. So if I was a meadow, and if the brambles had been cut back so that the brambles were not going to come at all, and I could say, this meadow is completely free of brambles and the brambles are not coming back. So, wow, that's real freedom, isn't it? Okay. So that nibbida has got a vital condition, which is called yatha bhuta jnana dasana. Yatha bhuta. So bhuta is a being or a becoming. And yatha means like. So yatha bhuta, that means like it has become. And then jnana, knowing, dasana, seeing. So knowing and seeing things as they have become, as they actually are, as they actually exist. Seeing reality as it really is, as it really exists. So the blinders have come off. You are able to see clearly. And this seeing of conditions, seeing things as they are, then makes it the most natural thing in the world, doesn't it? That then you would no longer have any delusions about it because you see it how it really is. You would no longer be biased and filled with greed and hatred towards things, because when you see the way it is, what's the use of getting angry? What's the use of being greedy? Again, I'm inviting comments from others.
Yeah, I guess two examples come to mind of this, sort of similar to each other. One is The Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. Once you see that it's just a man behind the curtain, then all the sort of fear and awe of the power of the wizard just kind of fades away, because you know exactly what it is, and you don't have to be afraid of that anymore or be impressed by it anymore. And then I guess similarly, another thing I think of is I remember like being a child, having my toys, and you put a lot of like a lot of dreams and imagination into those toys to like bring them to life, and get attached to them, and they have their personalities and their whole stories, and you spend all this time like just it's a piece of plastic in your hand or whatever, and you're kind of like bouncing it around on the table, right? But for a child, that there's something very compelling about that, just very like real and joyful and exciting about that. But if I go and like today I walk down a toy aisle in the store and see all these, I just see plastic. It's just little bits of plastic arranged into looking like a little bit like something. But I can, just seeing it as plastic, I can no longer get excited and compelled by it. I don't want to bounce it up and down on the table anymore and make a story about it. And it's because I've sort of seen it as it is, that all of that excitement was something that I was adding onto it and putting onto it. And, not to criticize children for doing that. I think there's very developmentally important reasons for that. But having come past that and seen it, then it's just very clear to me that that illusion is really gone for those sorts of things at this point.
That was Venerable Kachina, and now I'll bring a seminary Dhammajivi.
For me, I think for most of us, that me is just so important. We do everything in our life from childhood to adult just to feed me, to make sure I'm healthy, make sure I can live long. But when you know that there isn't me, it's going to be gone. When you really understand it, what it actually is, then it's easy for you to not to work so hard when you can't even have it, when it's not yours. So I think that is the hardest to know. So once you understand that completely, then you can easily, not have any of these. Then you can have freedom, because there isn't anything for you to have, basically.
This truly knowing and seeing has a vital condition. And what is that? You should say immersion or samadhi. Samadhi is, the older translators translate that as concentration, which then there really is not any good English word translation for samadhi. Sometimes it's just translated as meditation. But this is the state of stabilized meditation that comes about when one has obtained seclusion from the five hindrances, obtained unification of the factors of the mind, and obtained the ability to see clearly with perfect mindfulness. As it's described, samadhi is accompanied by bliss and happiness, which can fade down to neutral feeling, which is supportive of the factor of equanimity. And that immersion can be characterized, especially in the fourth jhana, of a perfection of mindfulness and equanimity. So there's seclusion, mindfulness, equanimity, unification of the mind are some of the factors that describe the right state of meditation. We know that other traditions that were not based on the Buddhist idea of right view also had their versions of samadhi or meditation, which did not, however, lead to liberation. So in the system that we follow, that right samadhi is grounded on right view, It's grounded on right sila, our virtue, on purification of the mind, and of especially the idea of inclining the mind towards not being attached, seeing the impermanence of all things, seeing the unsatisfactory nature of all conditioned things, and being able, even in that state of samadhi, even in the greatest meditation, to see that even the greatest meditation is still something conditioned that should not be attached to, that should not be clung to. So having that kind of right samadhi, where one can have those qualities of unification of mind, seclusion from the negative traits, mindfulness and equanimity, and have that combined with non-attachment. That's the kind of samadhi that leads to truly knowing and seeing, to truly being able to see things as they are. I could tell a personal story about how seeing things as they really are could result, that immersion could result in that. At the one occasion when I was quite young in Buddhism, not as mature as I am now, I went on a 3-month-long meditation retreat shortly after my life partner had passed away. So I was in a state of psychological distress because of grief that had not yet been fully processed. So I was processing the grief during this meditation retreat. My emotions were swinging between pain and pleasant daydreams, and with a lot of frustration in between. But it was like practicing mindfulness. The teachers there, when they gave the individual interviews, they kept advising me to practice metta. And every time I began practicing metta, I would feel so sad. I would start crying because of grief. And then I happened to, I don't know how this happened because they didn't have a bookstore library, but somehow I picked up Sharon Salzberg's book about metta, and she said, well, sometimes when people are starting to practice metta, they feel sad. And so I was so pissed off with the retreat teachers because they told me to practice metta, but they didn't warn me about this side effect, this potential dangerous side effect of metta, that it would cause me to feel sad. And then on the very last day of the retreat, there was a question and answer with Joseph Goldstein was leading the Q&A session, and I was there feeling quite both like torn up and angry, and I really wanted to put my hand up to ask a question. I wanted to say that I wanted to like sue them for false advertising because they kept telling me to practice metta. They didn't tell me that it would cause me to be sad. But then the thing is that I was also very mindful because of having developed mindfulness and having jhana during that meditation retreat. And so then there was a flash of insight, my stroke of insight. I could see the entire process in exact detail, like a movie in slow motion. I could see here was this thought, and this thought was manifesting something in the body, and the body was causing something else to happen, and then this thought was getting on that thought, and it was like a train. It was just going da 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 da, and then my emotions were replaced by fascination and interest. Wow, look at this mind, how this mind is operating like that. It's amazing. How amazing it is. How the mind goes from one thing to another thing. That's why I was talking this morning about causation. You can see how these different states, they always arise because of a cause. If you're mindful, you can see it. And so therefore, because of having had samadhi, then the operation of the mind was so clear, so visible, so obvious. You could really see it, how it is. And then when you see it how it is, then you're not trapped it, you're not caught up in it anymore. You've got the nibbida towards that whole process. But it's not a hateful nibbida, it's a compassionate nibbida. You see that process is, it's just something that this body and mind is just doing that. And so it's like, it's in one way, it's like not that important. In another way, it's just, you just feel what it is to be a human being. So that's my example of how immersion is the vital condition for seeing things as they are. Now, maybe somebody else has got a testimonial or about how samadhi has helped you to see. And those who are in the audience here, if you do have a question or a comment to make, you'll be able to come over here and stand here and speak into the mic, and then other people can hear you all over cyberspace. This immersion has a vital condition, and that condition is sukha. Sukha is happiness. Sukha is sometimes called a pleasant feeling. This is not the pleasant feeling of sensual pleasure. It's a completely different kind of experience. What do you think? Is it more like being healthy instead of being ill? That kind of wellness? Who can explain sukha in this case? What kind of sukha is arising from tranquility and leading to samadhi? I challenge them to, they would be able to explain it to you.
The word sukha also exists in Cambodian, so that's why I would like to say it. It's sok. It's a combination of good everything else together, make it like almost like peaceful, happy. Yes, everything's all the positive stuff. So so in this case, when you're talking about is not sensual pleasure, happiness. So it's a peaceful mind, but healthy mind. Yes. So I can describe based on what it means in our, because we use the exact same language.
For those who criticize Buddhism as being pessimistic, it's very valuable and precious to see in this sutta how so many positive states are the characteristic of this path. So it said that the path of this Buddhist path is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful at the middle, beautiful at the end. And it is that way because in order to balance the mind and in order to support the growth of faith and support actually the courage to be able to face up to the reality about not self, to support having the courage to be able to let go of every attachment, to not hold on to anything at all. So then it's really beneficial and important especially along the earlier stages of the path, that the path becomes a self-fulfilling happiness. So, some kinds of meditation are more naturally pleasant than others, like metta meditation is naturally pleasant for most people. And then it's easier to stay with it because the feedback loop is helping to support developing more concentration on a pleasant object. Same way for most people, the breath is naturally pleasant. And so if the Buddha just had you only meditate on the corpse, it might not be successful because a person may be falling into too much distress and be unbalanced in their meditation. Or if you were only practicing on the asava practice on the pus and bile and phlegm and all the different kind of juices in the body, or if you were just meditating on the danger of disease and just meditating, here's the fever, and here's the toothache, here's the headache, here's the knee ache, here's the joint ache, here's epilepsy, here's fever, here's stroke. That is a kind of a meditation that we do, but those kind of scary meditations that help us to desensitize ourselves and be able to face up to the dangers in the world are balanced by the other kinds of meditation, like the breath meditation or the Brahma Vihara meditations, which are developing loving kindness, compassion, and so forth, to be able to reveal that light, as Diane said, that light that we have within, which is naturally happy. So the natural inclination of the heart is towards true happiness, true health. These are also phrases that are used to describe the four jhanas. So a person who has settled unification of the mind, it's said that that person is happy. It's a happy state. It's a fortunate state, a lucky state. That happiness has a vital condition. It's called tranquility or passaddhi. Passaddhi is related to one of our favorite bhikkhus, Ajahn Pasano, is the monk who possesses passaddhi. This has both a quality, it's not just equanimity, which is dull, but it's a kind of equanimity that's got a bright, uplifted quality. So it's a state which is calm, clear, seeing clearly, and it's a state which is a very comfortable state. So the aches and pains in the body are not a disturbance for somebody who possesses this passaddhi. One is able to, in a way, be separated from those physical bodily aches and pains. And one also is able to be separated from psychological or mental aches and pains. So a person who has got tranquility could be like my teacher, Ayatoloka, once went to the dentist and needed to have some cavities filled. And the dentist offered her anesthesia, but he was a Buddhist dentist. And she requested to just have a few minutes to get into meditation. So she entered into samadhi, and then without anesthetics, the dentist drilled her teeth and filled the cavities, and everything was fine. He was very impressed. And we were very impressed too. So you can do this. This for somebody who's got an illness or an injury, really one of the best ways of managing with illness and injury is if one is capable of developing that meditation where the mind is able to withdraw from sensitivity to bodily aches and pains, then that can be very tranquil. It's very comfortable. And just the same way, if you see something horrible in the world, or if you remember something horrible, or if you discover something horrible or repulsive, you don't get the disturbance from that. You know, it doesn't mean we don't have compassion. We could see that, you know, children are starving and children are being treated badly. Humans are being treated badly. There's cruelty and hatred in the world. And we're fully aware, fully sensitive, fully compassionate towards those situations. But if we possess tranquility, then our inner stability, our inner happiness is not thrown out of balance by that. So we don't get distressed and disturbed. And then the vital condition for that tranquility is described here as rapture. It's called PET. And PET is a very, the strongest happy state within this sequence. There's joy, which is called pamoja, then rapture, which is PET, and then passaddhi, which is tranquility, and then sukha, which is happiness. So out of all of these, PET is the most extreme, and it can sometimes happen in meditation when one gains jhana, that one is in effect feeling like tidal waves of great happiness, or an oceanic sense of bliss, some really strong, powerful, blissful states. For other meditators, the PET is not that much exciting. It's more like colored by calmness. But if somebody is practicing meditation and they feel these powerful states, the advice I've heard is it's an aspect of meditation. Don't be too impressed with yourself. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be disturbed by it. Don't give up your objective. Don't give up your meditation just because those powerful blissful feelings are sweeping over you. That could cause somebody who doesn't know to lose the meditation. But instead, you just continue with the practice and just know this can be a side effect of meditation. And it is to be expected that those very strong waves of PT can naturally titrate or temper down into tranquility and calmness and equanimity. I'm going to pause again and see if anybody has a question or a testimonial or a story to tell about why do we think that the Buddha said that this piti, this blissful experience, is an essential condition for awakening? What if somebody is just got a personality that just never gets happy? Are they able to wake up? Oh, Chintana. Okay. Let me come over here and find. Oh, there are questions, comments in the chat. Okay. One comment, Damon had a comment in the Mahayana. True freedom is being empty of clinging to both the bondage and liberation. So, yes, if you're clinging to enlightenment, then you won't. As long as you're clinging, you won't be able to really get it. Chintana had a question. What is the difference between samadhi and disassociation? So they're not at all the same. Samadhi is fully present, fully aware. There's some choicefulness in terms of, say, being detached from the reactions coming through the five senses. But I'm not sure I even know. Do you know what dissociation is? That's a psychological thing.
Feeling separate from your own emotions and feelings.
Yeah. It would be more like if I'm say reading something, I might not hear, like when the bell rings while I'm reading, and I don't hear the bell because my attention is on the reading. It doesn't mean that I'm dissociated. It just means that I have placed my attention there. And because that gate is I'm fully engaged with that gate, then the other ones are not available to me. You know, it's like the mind does one thing at a time. So in samadhi, the mind is doing one thing at a time, which is meditation, but you're not disconnected. It's just simply that the mind is on one thing and not on everything else. So the mind is not vulnerable to distractions and to being pulled around because of different things that come along. Now, is there a question? Okay.
And you said, think about, people being unhappy. We are not born. We are born. It's Buddha, the Buddha might say, with our natural state is happiness. That's how we are born. It is what the people put on us. Parents, peers, teachers, they put this stuff on us. We have to get that stuff on us, off of us. We have to get that stuff off of us to reach our natural state.
Yeah.
And that is what, a teacher, a minister said to me,
Mhm.
that I went, oh, and that's what my healing work became. And I had several different, spiritual people say that to me. Our natural state is to be happy.
Yeah. So all of the misery, the distress, the upset, all of the disturbance are things that are like incidental additions, but that underlying it is the natural inclination of the heart towards happiness. Or it's like our birthright that we've got it, and we don't. In society, when I guess mother and dad and the babysitter says no, bad baby or something like that, whatever they say, and then that's where we learn how to be unhappy. During that same period of time when I was going through the grief about my partner, I before I went on that long retreat, I went on a long hike in which I was alone in the forest without seeing other humans. And I did get a certain, like when the weather was pleasant and sunny, I felt happy. And when the weather was cloudy and cold and raining, I felt sad. And I couldn't discern that one was the essential me or not. I could have been a basically sad person who sometimes forgets to be sad and is happy. Or I could have been a basically happy person who sometimes forgets to be happy and feels sad. And so that happiness and sadness at that level is just like a spinning wheel, like one or the other is up on the top. But then the whole cycle of it, when one becomes equanimous towards feeling, then you're not disturbed by you're not disturbed by pleasure, and you're not disturbed by pain. You accept all of it. And that's an inherently happy state, is to accept everything. Yeah. Okay. I'm aware of the time. Yes. So joy has a vital condition that's called faith, or confidence, and faith has a vital condition, and that's called dukkha, or suffering. When you are in that, have at least enough courage to realize that you're not destined or doomed to suffer forever, that there's a way out, and then become willing to look, or be willing to see, be willing to try, and then find a spiritual tradition or a path of practice, or find a teacher, then this confidence, this trust, even before you have the clarity of understanding, you've got to have at least enough confidence to be able to undertake the practice. If you're constantly not sure whether you're on the right track or not, then you'll never be able to go anywhere. It would be like if you got married and you're not sure whether you chose the right boy or the right girl, and you're thinking, oh, is this the right one or not? And so that would kind of destine the marriage has a hard time to work out. But if you've got some basis, some ground, like even before you can understand it cognitively, you can feel with your heart the quality that a teacher has. And if you understand that quality, then you might have enough trust to make the effort and to follow the advice. And if you find a tradition like as I have, reading the suttas, and you gain trust in the Buddha, then even when the human teachers are sometimes disappointing because of their foibles, even if people are completely disappointing, nevertheless, we can trust the Dhamma, we can trust the Buddha, because of how reliable and trustworthy, like the more we test, the more we find out that this system really works.
So I have a question. The faith come from the costly suffering, right? Yeah. So my question is that why some people got very strong faith, right, in the Dhamma, but there are people that have no faith or very less, even though that person might be got so much suffering in the world, in his life or her life, compared to the other one. So what is the condition for this strong faith? Thank you.
My impression is that when a person is suffering, the first thing they try is to control their suffering by controlling their circumstance, or controlling the situation, or controlling their own reactions, or if they're not managing their suffering through controlling, they may manage it through running away and get involved with entertainment or substances or different kinds of escapism to run away from suffering. And so then as long as they can keep on running away from suffering or controlling suffering, either one or the other of those things, then they're not yet ready to be able to undertake the spiritual path. But if they find out that running away doesn't work and controlling doesn't work, then they could come to a point that they give up on trying to do it like, I'm going to do it my way. They say they're not going to try to do it my way anymore. And they become willing to turn to another source. For those who are involved with God-based religions, they turn it over to a higher power. They let go and let God, and go into a faith tradition. And if they're lucky enough to have teachers within the faith tradition that are giving wise counseling, then that they can get some kind of a measure of relief from their dukkha by letting go of trying to control their own suffering. So that's my impression of how it works. And I know that others might make a mistake and turn to the wrong path or turn to a path that doesn't really work. And so then they've got faith, they've got confidence, but yet in the end it's not productive because it's not quite the recipe that's really effective. But those of us who are here, we're here because this path seems to be the one that really does work. And we have met the teachers, the human teachers, living teachers who inspired us, and we have met the Dhamma, and we've practiced it. Now here comes Richard. I'm going to invite you to have a word.
Thank you, Eric. One has to be careful to understand that there's different kinds of faith. So there's the initial type of faith of the meta follower, which is more like, okay, everyone's saying the Buddha's enlightened, whatever, or maybe for culture or something. So you have a faith based sort of on magic. Who is a magical man, and you make donations of that, return, etc.
Yeah.
You go up the hierarchy, and you gain certain levels of faith. But the faith the Buddha's talking about here, which comes from suffering, it means penetrating and understanding suffering. It's the faith of the Sotapanna. He has truly seen what suffering is. Now he has real faith. And that's why it quickly goes up the ladder in all these other levels of jhana, monastic, and follow that path and everything. Householders can do it too, but it's easier to do it as a monastic because you don't have the distraction.
Yeah.
So I prefer to translate it as confidence.
Yes.
It's more like you've got real confidence because you've seen, what suffering is.
Yeah. Richard is mentioning that magical thinking is not the kind of faith that's being talked about here. But this is, if you, magical thinking is not the kind of faith that is referred to here, but it's more the confidence that's based on experience, based on the penetrating insight into the nature of dukkha by really having looked into what dukkha is, what its character is, and then following this path of practice and realizing some of the stages of release that comes from that. And as you begin to have some realizations at Sotapanna or whatever, then the more you realize, the more you continue, and the confidence then builds up. And your confidence may still be a factor until one has finally realized it to the fullest extent. So we've came to the end of our time. I appreciate everybody's patient listening. And for those who are joining online, I'm so glad to see you. And I will see you again on Tuesday or Sunday. And if I don't see you then, I'll see you again sometime in the future, somewhere, somehow. And now we can close by giving respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supartipanno Bhagavata Savaka Sangha Sanghang Namami.
Thank you, Ayya.
Okay, bless you all.
Thank you. See you on Tuesday.
Thank you, Ayya.